Alright, so here we are. We've got a simple spreadsheet set up in Excel, and we're going to do some math. Okay, using Excel to perform mathematical operations is pretty easy. There's just a few simple steps, and the biggest one is to always remember that when you're typing in math in Excel, you start with equals first. That's a little different than what we do in math class, but if I were to type in equals 4 plus 3 and then hit return, Excel will display the answer, which we all know is 7. Another way to do math in Excel is to start with the equal sign and then click on a specific cell and add them together. So we can do math using the cell names. This is using a relative reference for these particular cells. In a later video we'll talk about the difference between relative and absolute with regard to cell names, but for now we're just focusing on doing the math. So I'm going to come over here to this total column, which is currently empty, and just add these three. So again, I start with equals, I click on the cell, I hit my plus sign, click on the next cell, and the third one. And you can kind of see that Excel color codes what I'm selecting, and then when I have it all in, I hit return. 7 plus 22 plus 54, 83. So I'm just going to repeat that for this next one. Okay, so again, I'm just adding these three cells there. Now there I made a common mistake. I hit enter before I was done, and because I have a plus sign with nothing on the other side of it, Excel doesn't know what to do. So it's going to try to correct this for me, and if I hit yes, it's going to truncate this a little bit. If I hit no, it lets me fix it. So all I have to do with this is click on my third cell, and actually I'm just going to hit escape to get out of it and just start over. Here we go, equals this one plus D9 plus E9 return. Okay, so again, once you've done this a few times, it gets to be pretty easy. And while I'm just using addition here, it works for any of the mathematical functions. The key here is the equal sign first. Now, the reason why putting the cell names in is better than just simply telling it to do something like this, where if I added them all up myself, 12 plus 66 plus 41, which I'll get the same answer, 119. But here's the thing. If I use the cell names, the math is constantly checking the values that are in the cell. So like if this, instead of being 7, was supposed to be 17, if I go in here and fix this by making it 17, my total automatically updates itself. And I didn't have to go back through and re-add or do anything. It did it automatically. And if I change it back to 7, again, it automatically changes back. Down here, if I change this first one to 15, nothing happens because I typed in the actual values of the numbers and not the name of the cell. So that's the difference. Now, one shortcut that you can do with this, if you're having a series of math operations that are all going to be the same, we can utilize the fill handle. Remember, that's that little square in the bottom right hand corner of the active cell, and we can copy the mathematical operation through consecutive cells. So if I start with this one and drag to the bottom, it will total them all up in the same exact way. And I can see up here in my formula bar, this is the 14 row. If I go to the next one, it's 15, and so on. So that can save me an awful lot of time. I do one or two and then use the fill handle to copy that procedure. Now, here we have a selection. You know, if we look at these columns vertically, about 10 or 12 items on this list. Now I can go through and add them up just like I did before, But this is where the other type of math in Excel can come in, and those are built-in functions. Okay, and again, that has a very simple process. First, I click where I want the answer to go. So in this case, it's going to be cell C21. Next, I go up to the ribbon and I click on the Formula tab. That changes my toolbar, and I have more options that deal with mathematics and other built-in functions. And right on the toolbar I have a button called AutoSum. So if I'm going to add this entire column up and there are no empty spaces, if I just hit AutoSum, notice how it automatically selects that range for me. I can tell by the little animated dots that are moving around, and it fills in an equation in that empty cell. All I have to do, if that is right, is hit return, and it will add them all up for me. So if I move to the next one, D21, and do the same thing, AutoSum, again, D8 through D20, hit return, that totals it up, and just move through each of these. Okay, and now I can total the other total column, and there we go. And again, that's using what's called a built-in function. So I'm going to do one or two more of these here just to kind of demonstrate how some other functions work. One of these is called max, and that just picks the maximum value from a range of data that you select. But if I go up to my toolbar, there's an AutoSum button, but there's no max button. If I click this little drop down right beside the sum, it shows me the last few formula that I have used, and right there is max. So if I click on that, I can change the AutoSum to be max. Now, if I look at this, the selection that the computer made automatically is incorrect because they include the total column, and I don't want to do that. So I can just simply click and drag over the range of data that I would like to select. Again, it's the same range that I totaled up before, C8 to C20. Hit return, and it tells me that 13 is the largest number in this column, and it is. So if I go to the next one, I can do the exact same thing. I can click this little drop down, select max, reselect my data, hit return. And so again, I start in an empty cell, I go to the toolbar to select my function, I click and drag to select my data, I hit return to finish. Okay, and if I do this one, my totals column, that's not quite as important, but there we go. Okay, one more very popular function is the average function. Works the same way. Click in the empty cell, go up here to select average, select the data I wish to use, hit return. Now, one of the things that we can also do with this, just like with regular math, I can copy functions using the fill handle. Okay, so there are my averages for this row, and that's pretty much the different types of math. And there are hundreds of functions built into Excel. Each one is pretty much performed in a similar way. However, some of the more complicated ones have their own specific set of instructions. These are the ones we'll use the most, so they all work pretty well the same. Thanks for watching.